Hi friends, welcome to the Share, Invite, and Proclaim channel. My name is Judy. If you are new to Christianity and you don't know very many of the Bible stories, but yet you will hear them when you attend church, my effort here is to try to tell you about some of these Bible stories that other people grew up with and know about. And the one for today is the Transfiguration, and this is in Matthew chapter 17. And it's also in Mark and Luke. And the people involved are Jesus, his inner circle of James, Peter, and John, Moses and Elijah, and God himself. So Jesus takes his inner circle of disciples up on this mountain, and there he is transfigured. That means that his appearance changed into a beautiful spiritual state. It says in scripture that his face was like the sun, his clothes white as light. Why were Peter, James, and John there with Jesus? Well, they would eventually testify of this event in their writings and in their teachings. It was a special event. It also proved that Jesus was who he said he was, the Son of God, the Messiah. And so they testify of this event after Jesus' resurrection. Now, Moses and Elijah were talking with Jesus. Now, we don't know what they said, but I tend to believe that they were encouraging Jesus because he had told his disciples that he was going to go to Jerusalem where he would be crucified. And so I think that he needed some encouragement. And Moses represented the law, Elijah represented the prophets, and Jesus told his disciples that the law and the prophets talked about him in the Old Testament. And both of these men, Moses and Elijah, had honored God. And I think that they were there to encourage Jesus before his crucifixion. No, even Jesus needed times of encouragement. I think of the times that, like when he was tempted of Satan. He was in a desert-like place. He had been fasting for a number of days. And Jesus withstood the temptation of Satan. Satan was trying to get Jesus to worship him instead of God. Jesus used scripture to defeat Satan. And after that, it says that he was hungry, and so the disciples came and ministered to him. Many times during Jesus' ministry, he would go to an isolated place and he would pray. And I believe that there he was encouraged by God and by angels to continue to go to Jerusalem for his crucifixion. And then right before his crucifixion, a few hours before, Jesus and his disciples went to the Garden of Gethsemane. Although in Jerusalem they pronounce it differently. I can't remember how they pronounced it. But we say the Garden of Gethsemane. And he went there, and then he took his inner circle with him, James, Peter, and John, into another part of the garden. It's quite large and has these huge, huge olive trees. And so he took his inner circle a little bit farther into the garden, and there 3 times Jesus prayed. One time he said, God, if this cup can pass from me, if it doesn't, I want to do your will. Jesus knew that God's will was for him to go to the cross and to be crucified. But he still had that human part of him, the human body that wanted strength and needed strength. And it says that in John, I believe it is, that the angels came and ministered to him. So Jesus needed encouragement. looking at it from the disciples, this transfiguration, it helped increase their faith. It encouraged them to know that Jesus was who he said he was, the Son of God, the Messiah, who came to save the lost. And so we have then the need of encouragement for Jesus, and encouragement for the disciples and for all believers. How do we today get encouragement? Well, we can get encouragement from Scripture, from visions or dreams, or from our inner circle, our friends that we trust, maybe from a counselor or biblical counselor, or from a sermon, or from music. These are all ways that God can encourage us in our faith. I also pray that you will be able to find a Bible-believing church where you hear about Jesus, who he was, and who he is, and who he is in a future time, in his second coming. I pray that you might be able to find a small group Bible study where you can grow as a Christian. If you're unsure about your relationship with God, think on this in Romans 10:9. That if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. I ask that you subscribe to this channel so that you'll be notified of future videos. I also ask that you share it with those who need an encouragement from God. Thanks for watching.